Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Chapter 1 Read-Alouds. I'm continuing my trend of reading Chapter 1 of books that will be in our virtual book fair, or should say are in our virtual book fair. It's going on right now until May 24th. The shopping link is right below. Make sure you use that link so that 25% of the proceeds come right back to our libraries to use for books and resources for you. Today, I'm going to be reading a murder mystery book. That's right. This book is called Overturned by Lamar Giles, and Lamar Giles is actually known for writing quite a few good mystery thriller books. One you may have heard of that has been featured in previous book fairs is the book Spin, which is about a DJ's fan group kind of going crazy and killing him. And so the main character has to figure out who actually did it and what actually happened. He gets a lot of his inspiration just from reading some of like pop culture's news and things like that. So this one's called Overturned. Nikki Tate is infamous, even by Las Vegas standards. Her dad is sitting on death row, convicted of killing his best friend in a gambling dispute turned ugly. And for 5 years, he's maintained his innocence. But Nikki wants no part of that. She's been working on Operation Escape Vegas, playing an illegal card game so she can save up enough money to get out come graduation. Then her dad's murder conviction is overturned. The new evidence seems to come out of nowhere, and Nikki's life becomes a mess when he's released from prison. Because the dad who comes home is not the dad she remembers, and he's desperately obsessed with finding out who framed him and why. As her dad digs into the seedy underbelly of Vegas, the past threatens everything, and Nikki is drawn into his deadly hunt for the truth. But in the city of sin, some sinners will do anything to keep their secrets, and Nikki soon finds herself playing for the biggest gamble ever, her life. This particular book is rated for grades 7 and up, so just a disclaimer before I read chapter 1. So here we are, chapter 1 of Overturned. Dan Harris was not an Uber driver. He was my dad's latest and greatest attorney from the law firm of Cheap Suit, Bald Spot, and Smoker's Cough. Since we left Vegas, he chattered endless nothings straight from the small talk handbook, as if angling for 5 stars and a tip. Stuff like, "It sure is hot today, huh, Nikki? Dude, we live in the desert." Or, "UNLV's looking good this year." Were they? He probably meant football, which wasn't my thing. Not that kind of football. The University of Nevada, Las Vegas Lady Rebels soccer team had gotten off to a mediocre start this season with a 4-5 record. I didn't say that because if Harris knew anything about soccer, we might end up in a real conversation. I was a little too anxious for that. My mom, sitting next to me in the back seat, was more accommodating, nodding and ahhing at the right moments, but her eyes and hands gave her away. She never stopped staring at the browns and grays outside her window, scrolling north from the city perimeter to barren sands, and her fingers trapped an endless nervous rhythm on the leather next to my thigh. It was a strange thing, picking up your dad from death row. When Harris started talking politics, I knew I couldn't deal with all our nerves tangled in one big vibrating bundle for the entire 4-hour drive to Ely State. Uncoiling the wires in my bag, I screwed buds into my ears and dialed up a long and hearty playlist, usually reserved for the game I cared about more than soccer. Eyes closed, my forehead resting on the cool window, careful not to mush my big poofy hair, I zoned, then dozed. Constellations filled my dreams, all the pinpricks in the sky Dad showed me when I was little, before Uncle John's murder interrupted us. A firm squeeze above my knee pulled me from the cosmos. I said, "What?" Or maybe I just vampire hissed. Mom plucked a bud from my ear. "Wake up, we're close." Groggy, I smacked my lips, my tongue sour with the notes of afternoon breath. My Altoids tin rattled when I fished it from my bag. I chewed a handful of chalky mints into paste. Harris got us off Route 6, drove the all too familiar streets lined with pool halls, trailer parks, and ice cream stands that also sold beer. In the distance, snow-capped mountains made the horizon ragged. Dad once told me in a letter that he could see those mountains from his cell. For years, I hoped it wasn't just a lie to make me feel better. When we turned into the final street before the prison, the change from our last trip was clear. What was usually a desolate strip of faded asphalt bordered by a set of odd businesses was crowded with vehicles, rental cars and news vans with satellite dishes on the extendable arms. The last tenth of a mile to the prison's entrance was a slow crawl through reporters and protesters and fans. Every death row inmate had them. There was a dull buzz in the parting crowd, like driving through a swarm of bees. I suspected we'd get some attention, Harris said, moving beyond small talk, but I certainly didn't expect this much. Why not? I did. The news had been going crazy over Dad ever since his release went from lofty goal to undeniable certainty. Not the big national morning shows where they mix terrorism with celebrity guests and recipes. Locally, though, it's been kind of a big deal. Black man wrongly convicted on shady circumstantial evidence. Officialdom's long, hard stance on admitting no wrongdoing whatsoever because, hey, reasons. People picking sides based on as little real information as possible. Vegas loved its homegrown horror stories. You two okay? Harris asked. Mom glanced at me before answering. I nodded, and she said, We're fine. Neither of us were strangers to nosy, packed crowds. Nothing different from an average weekend at the casino. I was even dressed for it in my black Saturday night hostess dress. I'd considered buying something new, but a stylish black dress was a stylish black dress, even if a longer swath of brown thigh extending from the hem indicated a much different fit from when 14-year-old me bought it 2 years ago. There'd be time for better clothes and generally better life than that of a hostess leading drunken oglers to dinner tables if I had my way. For the time being, I was on a budget. Not like anyone was going to pay me much attention anyway. This was Dad's day. If I didn't already get that, the pot-bellied poker fan holding a "Welcome home, Nathan" sign clued me. That poster board greeting, done up in fat Sharpie letters and punctuated with a bad drawing of a royal flush, was pleasant, though it couldn't match the painstaking detail of the sign on the opposite sidewalk. Whoever sheds the blood of man, the sign read, by man shall his blood be shed, followed by the Bible chapter and verse. The wicking fire and white hot brimstone coals on that one was a nice touch. 50 yards from the prison entrance, sawhorses formed a perimeter that the groupies and haters couldn't cross. Guards waited behind the line. One stone-faced, refrigerator-sized correctional officer stepped to Harris's window. Harris explained who he was, who Mom and I were, and why we dared approach the prison so thoughtfully erected between his world and ours. Harris's lawyer thing satisfied the CO enough to swing one sawhorse aside and let us through. We pulled into an empty parking space, and the guard appeared at his window again. Is everything ready? Harris asked. Checking his watch, the guard said, It's time. I'd stowed my music but heard a drum in my chest. My hand found the door handle, and I waited for seconds that felt as long as the last 5 years. A klaxon sounded, and a yellow light spun in a bubble over a massive steel and concrete door. I expected a huge entrance to trudge open and unleash some giant tank or humanoid battle armor suit thingy from the sci-fi video games my bestie number two, Gavin, sometimes forced me to play, while bestie number one, Molly, reminded him we weren't that kind of girl. The big doors didn't part. All that drama for a smaller door set in the larger one. It was from there that Ely State Prison spit my father out. He wore the gray suit Mom and I bought him, guessing at the measurements. It almost fit. Erupting from the back seat of Harris's Cadillac, I sprinted, despite my heels, and flung myself at him like the earth was falling away beneath my feet, and it was either his arms or oblivion. He caught me, and I buried my head in his chest, ugly crying, and soaking a patch of his suit coat to a darker gray. Mom was there a minute later, slimming my bare shoulder with her tears. Dad squeezed us so tight. Faintly, a dozen camera shutters clicked and whined, ready to confirm to the world, to all our friends and enemies, that 3-time High Roller Magazine Player of the Year, 2-time World Series of Poker finalist, and 1-time wrongly convicted murderer Nathan the Broker Tate was back. Mom and I stayed in the back seat. After 5 years in a cage, no reason Dad shouldn't get a shotgun. On the highway, a safe distance from the news crews and crazies, Mom passed a box to the front. A lady at a downtown Summerlin kiosk had wrapped it for us, taking extra care to puff the silver ribbon so it looked more like fireworks than tinsel. Mom offered it to Dad the way I might have offered a crayon drawing back in the day. Please like it. He squinted and flexed his jaw, a blatant tell. After a second's hesitation, he manufactured a smile and took his gift. It fooled Mom, so it was a good enough recovery. I recognized his suspicion, though. What was it like when people offered you things in prison? Was there always a hidden cost? What is it? Dad asked, turning it over in his hand like someone working a Rubik's Cube. I touched his shoulder. It's cool, open it. Conceding, he undid the wrapping with care, peeling away the tape instead of just ripping the paper, revealing the white box underneath. It's an iPhone, I said. Oh, I remember those. He sat the box between his legs, never touching the actual device. Maybe later then, Mom said. So chilly, I was tempted to crack a window and let in some desert air. Never one to let an awkward moment fade quietly, Harris said, Look, Nathan, I know your head's spinning right now, and I don't want to rush anything, but we probably need to make some sort of public statement soon. Capitalize. Dad checked the rear view as if the prison was in pursuit. I'm thinking we should do it at Andromeda's, Harris continued. Let the world see you back where you belong. Andromeda's Palace, niche casino and hotel in the heart of downtown Las Vegas, aka home. Harris kept going despite my dad's curled lip and narrowed eyes. Not every day a capital case gets overturned, Harris said. There could be a lot of opportunity here beyond our lawsuit against the district attorney's office and the police department. You know how things are around the country now. The brutality cases, the shootings. I mean, that's not what happened to you, and we're grateful for that. But people are fed up and won't stand for another black man getting the shaft from the system. I watched my father closely, a habit he taught me when he was still around to teach me things. The annoyed head tilt, the way he clutched the silk at his knee like it was either grab fabric on or Harris's neck. Mr. Harris, I said, an attempted intervention launched too late. Maybe we should let him relax. For both of us, right? Dad said. The car went quiet, none of us sure how to respond. Opportunities, Dad said, for both of us, the wronged black man and his white knight attorney. Harris's pasty complexion went scarlet. For all of us. His voice trembled when he waved a hand toward me and Mom, trying hard for nonchalance. Say something, Mom. She only pursed her lips, maintaining her habit of leaving hard stuff to me. Can we listen to some music? I leaned between the seats like I had permission and tapped the satellite radio button, letting some oldies R&B singer croon about love and happiness we couldn't quite manage on our own. So that's the end of chapter one. So as you can see, there's going to be a little bit more than just a murder mystery case. There's also some justice that hopefully will be served. So that is chapter one of Overturned that you can purchase at the virtual book fair. Again, that shopping link is below. Go ahead and shop until May 24th, and I'll see you next time on chapter one Read Aloud.